Vanessa here, just checking in. Wanted to get out a video of the current lot of planners that I'm using before I start looking at setting up new planners for next year. I thought I'd just give you a quick run through of the different planners that I have and what they're being used for. Okay, so let me just say that I am typically a one book planner, but this year I have found that I have multiple planners by accident, just because of the different things that I've picked up during the year. Okay, so let's go through them. I'll give you a bit of a rundown of what I'm using, where I got it from, if that's of interest, and maybe even some thoughts about why I'm using them and what I'm going to do next year. All right, so let's start with the biggest one on the bottom. Sit these other ones over out the road. So this one is an A5 rings planner. The cover is a Moterm cover. It's in the colour taupe. I was originally using this as my everyday planner, taking it back and forward to work. I love the rings for the fact that I can customize it however I want, put whatever inserts I want into it, and I could print my own inserts as well. However, I did find that it is just too big and just too heavy, and I can't take it with me everywhere. So this planner has now become mainly my finance planner. I use it for my budgeting each month, and I also use it as a bit of a reference storage. So I've got a lot of cards and those sorts of things in here to make it look a little bit nicer, seeing as finance isn't the sexiest thing. But the front part of my planner up till the finances tab is all just reference stuff. So projects that we're working on this year at home, also things like my reading log of all the books that I've read over the last few years. It's got a little bit of decor in there, some dashboards, those sorts of things. It's also got some things around cleaning lists, things to declutter each month. So most of it though, the majority, if I flick through to here, this much of it is all my finances. So you can see the tabs that I've got there for each month of the year, and that way I can keep everything together, know where it is, grab it out that once a week when I do my budgeting, or at the end of the day to write down what transactions I've had. So that's my finance planner. The next, this one was an accidental book that I got. So I have a fairly intensive physio program to help with stability of my joints, and I'll go into that in another video. But I realised fairly quickly that because of the way the program is, I needed to be keeping a record of which exercises I'm doing, how many minutes I'm doing on those exercises, and what I need to be doing each day of the week. So this was just a notebook that my daughter had that she didn't want to use. So I grabbed it just to jot down my exercises. However, this is the worst notebook ever, in that the way that it's riveted on the spine means that you have absolutely no chance of it laying flat whatsoever. It just, trying to rule up the pages for my exercise program, it's a nightmare trying to get it flat enough to use a ruler on it. So this one I'll keep using until the end of this year, but my plan is to incorporate what I'm using this for into my everyday planner for 2025. The next planner that I have is a fairly straightforward one. It's my 5-year planner. So again, I've got another Moterm leather cover in black this time. It holds my sterling ink 5-year diary. This one I've only had this year. I think it's only been this year that she's released the 5-year planner. So do a bit of decor in the front just to fill in the empty pages. There's some empty pages at the front, which I've decided that I'm going to use as like a recap of each year for the 5 years. And then it's just separated into the 5 different sections. So you'll see, if we go back to something like this, I'll do a looking forward to at the start of the month, and then a daily entry, And then at the end of the month, there's also a highlight for the end of the month as well. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes over the 5 years. But I've been pretty good at keeping that one up to date for the whole year so far. Now this one was just a trial. This is my reading journal. I've never kept a reading journal before, so I just used a notebook that I had at home. It's actually a little lectern. I don't know whether I'm saying that right, but I think it's an A6 size or a pocket size. It's around quite small. But this is the first year that I've actually set myself a challenge to read 24 books in a year. I used to be a really avid reader, like 6 or 8 books on the go at a time. Since I've been working full time and since my health hasn't been as good, I don't read as much as I used to. And now I'm also studying as well. So trying to fit in some reading into my everyday, whether that's a little one of those books that's like a 365 days of reading sort of thing where you're learning something each day, or I tend to have a novel on my bedside that I'll read for half an hour before I go to bed each night. So this one I have gone a little bit nuts with the decoration. It's a little bit junk journal, vintage sort of vibes to it, but I just keep a record of the books that I've read, how much I liked it, how many pages it is that I read each month, those sorts of things. So that's my reading journal. I'm not actually sure how I'm going to do this one next year. This size isn't ideal for me, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do, whether I can incorporate my reading journal into one of the other planners that I'm getting for next year, or whether I'll keep it as a standalone book. So that one's a bit of a watch this space. This one's also a little bit of an accident. This one I've only just started in the last couple of weeks. It's a really cheap and nasty freebie notebook that came with a magazine probably 20 years ago, and it's just been sitting in a drawer. But I have decided to use this one at the moment to start jotting down ideas for YouTube videos. So really bad handwriting, ignore that, but you'll see like some that I've started to put some detail around, some that it's like I just need to do one on a reading journal or on goal planning. So at the moment it's just a notebook. I'm not actually sure how I'll do YouTube tracking planning next year as well, but watch this space and see how that goes. Now I'm sorry if the light just went really weird, but my computer monitors just went to sleep. And then probably the main planner that is my EDC, I guess. I take this one to work every day. It has all my health tracking, my family stuff, my work stuff. It is my goal planner. This one is basically, if I lost this, I'd be in strife. So this one is another Moterm cover. It's the same size as the 5-year journals. So they're both a B6 size, which I find is small enough that I can fit it in most of my handbags if I'm going away somewhere or those sorts of things, because it has my medication information and my health information in it. I do tend to take it everywhere with me just because heaven forbid something went wrong when I'm out of town and my husband doesn't know all my medications off the top of his head. But this one is also a Moterm cover in the top, in the B6 side. It's a notebook cover, so it is just slipped into the back cover there. I like to keep a decoration on the front. So this is just a vellum from Creative Sticker Co., an Australian sticker supplier. A few little bits and pieces in the front, mostly just sticky notes and those sorts of things. But then this one I have used pretty much every page in here, from journaling at the back. I tend to stick in a divider. These ones are Sterling Ink vellums from her monthly freebies. Do a bit of an overview of what I've done in the last month. And then I do a bit of a daily journal. Some days are just a small amount. Some days will go over pages. I have some goal tracking breakdown of some planning that I did over the start of the year. And then I also have, let me find a page. I have my health tracker that I set up for each month of the year. I'm probably not going to show you a filled in one until I at least cover up my medications, but to give you an idea, I'll record how many steps a day I'm doing, what my medications, how much water, how I'm feeling, where my pain is at, what my mood is like, how much sleep I'm getting, how productive I am, all of that compared to when I have my menstrual cycle. So it's something, this part of my planner is really important to me. So I'm using a lot of the back pages, the blank pages in the back of this Sterling Ink Common Planner for this tracking, which is actually leaving me very close to cutting it fine for whether I'm going to fit in a daily journal each week, each day, up until the end of the year. So this has got me reconsidering what planners I'm going to be using. I need to have this health tracking with me because of the medications and those sorts of things, but what am I going to do for my daily journaling for next year? So I'll need all the pages at the back. I'll potentially combine that exercise notebook into this one, which will take up more pages. So then I really need to look at what I'm going to do for my journaling. And I'm sure everyone by now has seen the Sterling Ink vertical layout. Love this. I stick my work hours in, which gives me a framework for the week, and then everything else fits in around that. I can prioritize like when I need to exercise, all those sorts of things. Do a bit of weekly decorating, try to not go too overboard, but it depends. And so in the front, I use the monthlies. So you can see here, I use the monthlies to track some things like birthdays, what I want to read, what are the big purchases, if we've got any that we need to buy this month, put in some appointments like my hairdresser and my dentist. But then I also track my reading in here as well. So I print out a little copy of the cover of the book and then use the arrows to show how long it took me to read that book. So it's a nice record. I'm thinking this planner I'll probably go into a little bit more in depth over the next couple of months, how I've used it. And then we'll run into, in December probably, I'll start setting up my planner for next year. Because I do set up all those health trackers, it does take me quite a while to set those up. So I'm hoping that that will be of interest and might be helpful to somebody else. But in the meantime, that is my stack of planners for this year. I'm actually hoping I don't have quite as many books next year. I do find it a little bit overwhelming, like if I was to go on holidays, which ones do I actually bring with me? So I'm hoping that I can combine them all a little bit more, condense it down, and make it a little bit more portable, what I do have. Anyway, thank you for watching if you've made it this far. Nice to have you along the journey.